conservative civil war on the internet. The so-called Doge faction of Trump's coalition, led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, is now openly feuding with Trump's anti-immigrant MAGA wing. The infighting broke out after Trump named an Indian-American venture capitalist, Sriram Krishnan, to be his advisor on artificial intelligence. That immediately triggered racially charged backlash from far-right activists like Laura Loomer, who said Krishnan's appointment and his vocal support for green cards for highly skilled workers was deeply disturbing and in direct opposition to Trump's agenda. Musk and Ramaswamy strongly disagreed and fired back with separate online posts that backed both Krishnan and foreign-born workers. Back with me now are Bulwark podcast co-host Tim Miller and Washington Post national columnist Philip Bump. Also joining the discussion is Washington Post national investigative reporter Carol Leonnig. We have two Washington Post reporters, one Bulwark reporter, all awesome people. Thank you guys for joining me on this holiday Friday night. Carol, let me start with you.
This was implied in some of the posts. Elon Musk tell him how to bring in more foreign workers because Americans have a culture of mediocrity, as was implied in some of the postings by Vivek Ramaswamy and also by Elon Musk in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I want to get to those posts in a minute, Tim, but the notion, I think Carol's so spot on in highlighting the fact that Trump is concerned with his base, and newsflash, a billionaire immigrant Silicon Valley tech bro, not Trump's base. At a point, if it's the Elon Musk sort of shadow president thing, or the Elon Musk is not one of us thing, something is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back here. It's hard for me to imagine that at some point, and maybe some point soon, Trump is going to have to betray his friendship with Musk.
Yeah, look, there's some natural tensions here, and it is appropriate that I'm coming at you from my parents' basement in order to understand all the characters, because you have to be deep into the MAGA online world to understand the fractures and the fighting here. But the short of it is this: Trump added in this kind of tech bro world, just use it as shorthand. You have Musk, you have Rogan, but you have even kind of smarter, more VC type tech folks like Mark Andreessen. They sort of played pretend on the culture war. They're happy to go along with the culture war when it came to COVID. They were happy to go along with the culture war when it comes to trans people. All these other random things, that sprout up on the MAGA right. But this immigration issue is core to that tech part of the audience. Meanwhile, the Steve Bannon wing, if you will, of MAGA, the ultra MAGA wing, immigrant nativism and being anti-immigrant is core to them. So this is a fight that you can't really find a common ground for at least.
Philip, I agree with Tim. This is not just some holiday kerfuffle. This is a real one. This is a big one. And I'm old enough to remember, Philip, the Republican National Convention when Trump supporters all had mass deportation now signs. This is the thing that gets them fired up. How do you see, from the sort of political perspective, the cleave between the sort of wealthy tech bro coastal Republican elite, they do exist, and the MAGA base? How do you see that being translated into the halls of Congress, where they're going to have to find funding for a lot of this?
Nothing buncates. To extent gets to the question of how much power is Donald Trump going to have now that he's a lame duck, right? Now that his power is only going to be exerted fundamentally in Republican primaries, how much clout does that bring to bear? How much do Republicans actually worry about that? My guess is over the short term in particular, they worry about it quite a bit. But yeah, the divide that we're seeing here is really fascinating and entirely predictable, as everyone has pointed out, right? The MAGA movement has a fundamental strain of this identity politics of white grievance, which when you talk about things like, they were willing to talk about, DEI is this terrible thing, and some of that was sincere and a lot of it was disingenuous, to Tim's point. But this is really a question of, there are a lot of Trump supporters who fundamentally do not believe that any immigrants come into the country and have jobs that could potentially be done by Americans. And so Elon Musk, for example, he has a lot of people that he's hired at his businesses. He has a lot of people who are working at Tesla, for example, who are immigrants on work visas, who he has a lot of respect for. He doesn't fundamentally understand that there are also a lot of immigrants who do work in the agricultural field, and so on and so forth. This is another example of where Musk is falling into the Dunning-Kruger trap of not really knowing what he's talking about. And so even for him, there's an inconsistency. He doesn't get that there's a similarity here. And so because of that, because you have both this tension on immigration and identity broadly within the MAGA movement, and because you have Musk who doesn't fully understand what he's talking about, the ramifications of what he's pushing forward on, then you get this tension, and it's not clear that Donald Trump is going to be able to pull everyone together, because at some point in time, Republicans are going to understand he's not the key to their future.
Yeah, Carol, you mentioned Vivek Ramaswamy's tweets, which get at the fundamental sort of difference here between the MAGA base and the Doge coalition. I don't even know how big the Doge coalition is beyond Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. But anyway, at any event, Vivek Ramaswamy, in a very long post on X, said, among other things, our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence, and he blamed 90s TV shows like Friends and Family Matters. Trump saying Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. I mean, I'm just not sure that like a tech bro, a wealthy tech bro, telling Americans they're mediocre and lazy is a perfectly fine-tuned message for the Trump base. What is your opinion of this, Carol?
Rather than opinioning, I think I would just stick with some reporting and say, Elon Musk kind of waded into this drama to try to, explain Vivek's point, at least from the tech bro perspective, and try to calm the waters a little. But he ultimately doubled down and started to roil the waters even more. And to your point, Alex, this is not ideal for the numbers, the true quantity, if you will, of voters who got Trump elected. You're so right to point out how big is the Doge coalition. The Doge coalition is as big as its pocketbook. That is its value, right? That's what's important, is the billions of dollars that are behind all the folks who helped Trump get elected. But in terms of numbers and votes and showing up for midterm elections, it's people who are like, what are you saying? What did Elon Musk's actual quote, I believe, was something along the lines of, in America, we don't have enough extremely talented and extremely motivated people who can work in my tech industry. And that is pretty striking. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's right. But what a striking thing to say to the MAGA base, which got Trump elected and said, we have to do something about Americans. We have to stop, these people coming across the border, feeding off our economy, taking away from our children's school time. We need somebody to look out for Americans. To say you're not motivated or excellent enough in your field, Donald Trump's going to have to come in some way and swoop in on this one.
Remember when Tucker Carlson was talking very animatedly about Daddy coming home to spank someone? Now we know who maybe those people are. Tim Miller, Philip Bump, Carol Etting, superstars, friends of the show. Thank you for your time tonight.